In Love Me, a buoy falls in love with a satellite. Let me repeat that. A buoy falls in love with a satellite. The satellite is played by Stephen Yeun, and the buoy is played by Kristen Stewart. What the hell am I talking about? You're probably asking yourself. Well, that was kind of myself going into this movie at Sundance, which is called Love Me. And it is a movie that literally, as the plotline describes it, a buoy falls in love with a satellite. And when I read that on the Sundance pamphlet, I was just like, I'm probably misunderstanding that. Are these like, I almost thought at one point they were like astrology terms that I just wasn't really familiar with because the poster has Kristen Stewart and Stephen Young. So I'm like, well, they're not inanimate objects. Well, they are inanimate objects. It is quite literally a buoy in the ocean and a satellite in space falling in love. I think this could be called the prestigious Wally in the sense that this is an indie film that I feel like has a lot of similarity, at least in vibe, to Wally, while being a little bit more existential. And let's dive into Love Me, starring Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun. So I really cannot describe this film other than this plot line that I've described, but I'll try to go even further. It is a love story that spans millions of years. It is a sci-fi romance about these true inanimate objects and their growing together and how they develop, how science is used in it, how they're able to essentially take their consciousness and put it into other like AI animated projects and avatars. It's kind of a lot out there. And to be honest, I don't think you need to worry any more about the premise than as the way I have described it. The film spends time setting it up and explaining it from Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 as this story and this love evolves and how that love evolves. This is a movie that is dealing with not just falling in love, but the sadness of love and whether that is a kind of force that can go throughout the universe. I kind of thought Interstellar at times, where it's this idea that love is so powerful that it breaks all space and time. I think this film has elements of that within its story, even if that's not exactly what Love Me is about. It's a far sadder, it's a far more depressing story about love, and yet it also is quite beautiful and poignant. I'm going to just start throwing movies out that I thought about while watching Love Me. I had vibes of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I had vibes of Wally. I had vibes of Interstellar. I had vibes of 2001 A Space Odyssey. I had just straight up vibes of, maybe it's just the fact that Kristen Stewart is in this movie, of just a plain old simple rom com. All of this is in communication within Love Me. And it is a 92-minute film where I have to admit, despite having some issues, which I'll get into, I bought into this premise of a buoy and a satellite falling in love. Now, I think the film struggles the hardest in the second act when we're in this avatar like being and we see kind of like avatar renderings of Yun and Kristen Stewart. And I think this is one, the CGI was a little off putting in this scene, and this section of the film feels like it goes along for a little bit too long. And I got what the film was trying to convey in this moment, the lies that we tell each other while in relationships, and how that manifests into a relationship, and the anxieties that we then carry within relationships. And I also, at a certain point, was like, okay, let's kind of move it along. And thankfully, the film at 92 minutes never stays with one subject matter too long. It does keep a good pace. And this film certainly has its messiness in there. There is some structural issues within it. It has this kind of slow, encompassing feeling where it's just so ambitious that it doesn't all land. There are specific scenes of this movie where I understood how they were trying to capture something, and I also didn't think it worked. For instance, as we kind of transition from a buoy to a satellite to then an avatar, to then more accurate representations of what Stewart and Young look like, they at times can overcomplicate themselves in trying to explain how those transitions happen, but they do kind of also, to some degree, as they're trying to explain it in detail that makes sense, they then kind of start realizing, let's just yada yada over this, and you'll just be along for the journey. So it's this juxtaposition of both. I feel like it's overwritten in these transition scenes and then they underwrite it. So it's like it doesn't really exist either way. And I felt like the film needed to make a choice in direction there. I think the performances are both pretty exceptional. I think Stewart's really good in this film, and I think Stephen Young plays off her very well. This is just an exciting film out of Sundance, even if, like I said, watching it, I was just like, okay, I get what it's trying to do and it's not successful. I can say comfortably this is the most wholly original film that I saw at the Sundance Film Festival. And even if it all didn't land for me, I still appreciated it for its unique vision and its trying message of love and existentialism. I had fun watching this movie and exploring and seeing how this film unfolded, even if it is narratively messy in certain sections. I can recommend Love Me when it comes out. I don't know when it will come out, but Love Me is certainly a film worth checking out, almost solely for the Kristen Stewart performance to some degree, where I can really just say she is just doing exceptional work. So, on a scale of 5 stars, I'm giving Love Me 3 out of 5 stars here on the Betaverse Movie Channel. And thank you all for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more reviews coming your way. Take care.